The Parkers, 1999 cast. Then and now, 2025. You'd never recognize. Stop what you're doing because the truth about the Parkers in 2025 is going to hit you harder than any punchline. The faces that once filled our living rooms with color, love, and loud laughter have been reshaped by time in ways most fans never saw coming. Shocking losses, painful battles, quiet reinventions, and surprising comebacks. Some of them look so different now you might think you're seeing strangers, until the memories rush back. Stay with me to the end because one cast member's transformation is the most jaw-dropping of all. And if the Parkers ever meant something to you, hit like, subscribe, and join the Legends of Black Excellence family. Monique. Monique, born Monique Angela Hicks on December 11, 1967 in Baltimore, came into the Parkers in 1999 with the kind of comic fire that can't be taught. At the time, she was in her early 30s, and her character Nicole Nikki Parker became the show's volcanic center, bold, messy, loving, and impossible to ignore. Nikki wasn't a background mom. She was the storm and the sunshine at once, a woman who enrolled at Santa Monica College just to stay close to her daughter and chase a romance that viewers rooted for even while shaking their heads. That mix of heart and havoc turned Monique from a rising comedian into a household name almost overnight. Before TV fame, she spent years carving her voice in comedy clubs, then broke wider through the Queens of Comedy tour, building a reputation for fearless truth-telling on stage. After the Parkers wrapped in 2004, she pushed into film with lead roles like Fat Girls 2006 and scene-stealing turns in studio comedies, proving she wasn't a one-show wonder. Then she shocked the world by going dramatic in Precious 2009. Her performance as Mary Lee Johnston was so raw and controlled that it earned her the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, along with major wins at the Golden Globes, BAFTA, and SAG, one of the most striking talent pivots of that decade. When you first watched Nikki Parker, did you ever imagine Monique would end up holding an Academy Award? The years after Precious were turbulent. Monique publicly criticized pay inequities and industry politics, and for a stretch high-profile offers slowed. But she didn't disappear. She returned to what built her live comedy touring, refining her voice and keeping her audience close without needing Hollywood's approval. By the early 2020s, she was visibly back in motion. She starred in the thriller The Reading 2023, then delivered her Netflix special My Name is Monique, released April 4, 2023, reminding everyone why her stand-up cuts deeper than most. In 2024, she rejoined director Lee Daniels for Netflix's The Deliverance, a public signal that past rifts don't have to define a future. Now in 2025, at 57, Monique stands as more than a sitcom legend. She's a performer who survived fame fallout and reinvention, still loud, still skilled, and still standing in her own lane. Yvette Wilson. Yvette Wilson brought a rare kind of steadiness to the Parkers, the sort that doesn't shout for attention but quietly holds a story together. Born March 6, 1964, in Los Angeles, California. Yvette full name. Yvette Renee Wilson didn't start out chasing television fame. She studied communications at San Jose State University, and by her own telling, she fell into stand-up almost by accident after being pushed onto a stage. That accident turned into a calling. By the early 1990s, her voice, warm, quick, and grounded in everyday truth, made her a natural fit for comedy on screen. Before viewers knew her as Andell, she built credibility through memorable film and TV appearances, House Party 3, 1994, Friday, 1995, and guest spots on comedy showcases like Def Comedy Jam. She also played Lynette on the short-lived series Thea, 1993 to 1994, which helped open doors for her next big chapter. In 1996, she joined Moesha as Andell Wilkerson, owner of The Den, a neighborhood hangout that felt like a second home to the characters. When The Parkers premiered in 1999, Andell crossed over with her, becoming Nikki Parker's closest confidant and the emotional safe place of the show. You could feel it every time she listened, warned, teased, or gently pulled her friend back from the edge. Off camera, Yvette's final years were marked by immense courage. She married record producer Jerome Harry in 2001 and was raising 2 daughters. She battled chronic kidney disease, underwent a kidney transplant, and required regular dialysis. While facing those challenges, she was later diagnosed with cervical cancer, which advanced to stage 4 and spread through her body. Friends organized fundraising support to help cover treatment costs, a painful reminder of how unforgiving medical bills can be even for working performers. Yvette Wilson passed away on June 14, 2012 at 48 years old. In 2025, fans still remember her not only for laughs, but for the quiet humanity she gave, and proof that the loudest legacy isn't always the noisiest character, but the one that felt real enough to be family. Countess Vaughn. Countess Vaughn arrived in the Parkers with a spark that felt instantly familiar to anyone who'd watched her grow up on TV. Born August 8, 1978 in Idabel, Oklahoma, she was just 21 when the series debuted in 1999, stepping back into the role of Kimberly Ann Parker after Moesha. Kim wasn't merely a side character. She was a fast-talking, style-obsessed whirlwind whose eye rolls and clapbacks gave the show much of its youthful electricity. Her rhythm was musical, her timing razor-sharp, and for many viewers, she became the daughter you argued with, laughed at, and ended up loving anyway. Vaughn's story actually started long before UPN. As a child singer, she won Star Search in 1988 at only 9 years old, a national spotlight that pushed her into acting early. She later starred as Alexandria DeWitt on 227, and then became Brandy's best friend on Moesha, 1996-2001, setting the stage for the Parkers' success. By the final season of the Parkers, reports from entertainment finance outlets say she was earning about $55,000 per episode, a reminder of how central Kim had become to the brand. When Kim strutted into a scene, didn't you already know trouble was about to follow? Behind the laughs, adulthood hit hard. Vaughn became a mother young, and her private life included a difficult marriage to Joseph James, 2002-2005. She has spoken publicly about health struggles too, most notably a thyroid disorder that contributed to weight swings and fatigue, and a serious hair loss/skin reaction linked to long-term lace front wig glue, which she discussed on daytime medical talk shows. Those battles changed how often she worked, but not how strongly fans held on to her. In recent years, she's chosen selective appearances rather than non-stop visibility reality TV guest roles and occasional projects that keep her connected to audiences without living under constant spotlight. As for finances, 2025 net worth figures vary by source. The most consistent public estimates place her around $900,000 to $1.5 million, and it's best to treat any single number as an approximation, not a verified ledger. In 2025, at 47, Countess Vaughn remains a defining face of late 90s black sitcom culture. Older, wiser, and still remembered for giving Kim Parker a voice you can hear in your head the second you say her name. Lamont Bentley. Lamont Bentley was one of those performers who didn't need to be loud to be unforgettable. Born October 25, 1973 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, he moved to Los Angeles as a teen and carried a calm, observant energy that translated beautifully on camera. Many fans first noticed him before the Parkers through films like Tales from the Hood, 1995, and South Central, 1992, where his natural presence suggested a young actor with real range. By the late 1990s, he had already built a solid resume, but it was television that made him feel like part of your living room. In 1999, at 26, Bentley joined the Parkers as Hakeem Campbell, quietly loyal, sweet-natured, and often the emotional glue for the younger characters. Hakeem wasn't the flashiest role yet. Lamont gave him a grounded warmth that balanced all the chaos swirling around Nikki and Kim. He also carried over from Moesha, where Hakeem had been introduced as Kim's close friend, so viewers already had a bond with him when the spin-off began. That continuity made his presence feel like family, rather than a new addition. Off-screen, Bentley was a working actor who never stopped hustling. Friends and colleagues described him as soft-spoken professional and deeply committed to providing for his children. He was also pursuing music alongside acting part of a hip-hop group called Uprise, trying to expand his creativity beyond sitcom sets. Like many young black actors from that era, he was building a career in an industry that rarely offered long-term security, so every role mattered, every opportunity was chased with purpose. Then came the tragedy that still stuns fans. On January 19, 2005, Lamont Bentley died in a single-car accident in Ventura County, California. His vehicle reportedly ran a stop sign, broke through a fence, rolled down an embankment, and he was ejected onto the roadway. He was only 31 years old. The news hit like a gut punch because it didn't feel like a closing chapter. It felt like a story interrupted mid-sentence. 2 decades later, in 2025, his legacy remains tied to that gentle smile and steady presence. Lamont Bentley may have left early, but the kindness he poured into Hakeem still lives in the memories of everyone who watched him grow up on screen. Dorien Wilson. Dorien Wilson gave the Parkers its smooth, measured counterweight. Born July 5, 1963 in Lompoc, California, he was 36 when the series launched in 1999, stepping in as Professor Stanley Ogilvy, the refined, slightly aloof academic who tried and usually failed to dodge Nicky Parker's relentless affection. What made Stanley memorable wasn't volume, it was control. Dorien played him with a soft-spoken dignity that let the jokes breathe, so every raised eyebrow, calm rebuttal, or embarrassed pause landed like perfect punctuation in the middle of Nicky's hurricane. Before the Parkers, Wilson had already built a strong television resume. He earned major recognition as Eddie Charles on HBO's Dream On across 105 episodes, 1991-1996, and popped up in beloved 90s staples such as Sister Sister, The Steve Harvey Show, Seinfeld, Martin, Living Single, and even a memorable appearance on Friends. Those roles showcased his range, polished professional one-week comedic wild card the next, always with a natural ease on camera. Didn't Professor Ogilvy feel like the kind of teacher you secretly wished you'd had back in college? His career didn't stop when UPN rolled the credits. In 2015, Dorien became a steady lead again on Bounce TV's comedy In the Cut, playing Jay Weaver and reconnecting with a new generation of viewers. By 2025, he remains active in screen work and continues to be associated with the show, which has run for multiple seasons, and kept him regularly in front of audiences who still call him Professor Ogilvy first. On the personal side, Dorien has kept much of his life private. Public biographies note a long marriage to Joanne Wilson, with whom he has 2 children, though details about their current relationship status are not widely confirmed. That discretion has helped him avoid the celebrity noise that derails many careers. About money, entertainment outlets disagree on exact figures, with 2025 estimates ranging from a few million to around $12 million. Since Dorien hasn't publicly verified a number, the honest takeaway is this: he has maintained decades of consistent work, plus syndication residuals from the Parkers and other shows, which clearly translate to long-term stability. In 2025, at 62, Dorien Wilson stands as a quiet pillar of the series' legacy, less flashy than some co-stars, but essential to the rhythm that made the Parkers a classic. Tommy Ford. Thomas "Tommy" McCall Ford brought a calm, grown-man gravity to the Parkers that balanced all the chaos. Born September 5, 1964 in Los Angeles and raised in Long Beach, he first imagined a future in the pulpit. That changed when school theater revealed a different calling. He studied acting at Long Beach City College, then earned a BFA from the University of Southern California, training that gave him the smooth control you could feel in every scene he played. Long before he became Mel Parker, Ford was already a 90s legend. Millions knew him as Tommy Strawn on Martin, 1992-1997, the loyal best friend whose chemistry with the cast helped make that show iconic. So when the Parkers arrived in 1999, he stepped in with instant credibility as Mel Parker, Nicky's ex-husband and Kim's father. Mel wasn't a clown or a villain. He was the composed, emotionally layered parent trying to stay steady while the rest of the family spun like a hurricane. Even though his appearances were recurring rather than constant, his presence always felt important, like a true anchor in the Parker universe. Off-screen, Ford's career never slowed. He moved smoothly between sitcoms, dramas, and film, appearing in titles such as New York Undercover Class Act and Harlem Nights, and later becoming a familiar TV personality through comedy competition work. But what mattered just as much was his life outside the camera. He directed stage plays, mentored young performers, supported nonprofit programs, and poured energy into community projects, especially those aimed at guiding youth toward arts and self-respect. Friends often described him as spiritual, disciplined, and generous with his time. Tragically, his story ended too soon. In early October 2016, Ford was hospitalized after a serious medical emergency linked to an abdominal aneurysm. He passed away on October 12, 2016, at 52 years old from a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm. The news stunned fans because he still felt like a permanent part of the culture. He left behind 2 children and a wide circle of people who viewed him as more than an actor. In 2025, Tommy Ford remains a pillar of black comedy history, remembered for quiet strength, effortless charm, and the way he could make you laugh without ever needing to shout. Ken Lawson. Ken Lawson is one of those faces that instantly pulls the Parkers back to life. Born January 19, 1976 in West Covina, California, he was only 23 when he stepped into the role of Thaddeus T. Tyrell Radcliffe Jr. in 1999. Back then, T was pure late 90s flavor, smooth-talking, confident, a little goofy, and always ready with a scheme or a grin. He wasn't just comic relief. He was the spark that made the younger crew feel real, the friend who kept the college world buzzing while Nikki and Kim battled it out at home. Ken played him with a relaxed swagger that never felt forced, which is why fans still quote T lines today without even meaning to. Before the Parkers, Lawson had already been working steadily. His first notable TV role was Carl on the sitcom In the House 1996 to 1999, giving him a professional foundation before UPN ever called. While acting, he also pursued music under the nickname Ken L, writing and producing hip-hop, something he's kept part of his identity even as his screen career grew. When the Parkers became a hit, he shifted from recurring appearances to a main cast member and ultimately appeared in 106 episodes over the show's 5-year run. That kind of visibility made him a fixture for a whole generation of viewers. Didn't T always feel like that one friend who could talk his way out of anything? After the series ended in 2004, Lawson's path wasn't the typical Hollywood rocket ship. Instead, it looked like real-life, quieter seasons, smaller parts, and steady rebuilding. He showed up in films like Malibu's Most Wanted, 2003 did indie projects, and kept his foot in both worlds, acting and music. Then in 2015, he found consistent TV footing again as Kenny Clark on Bounce TV's comedy In the Cut, reuniting on screen with Dorien Wilson and reminding audiences that his timing was still sharp. More recently, he has appeared on BET's The Oval starting in 2023 and continues to take film roles, including projects released in 2024 and one slated for 2025. As of 2025, Ken Lawson is 49 years old, still working, still creating, and living proof that sitcom fame doesn't always mean a straight line, but it can mean a long one. Public net worth estimates generally place him around $500,000, though like all such figures, that number is an approximation rather than a verified statement. What is verified is his legacy T. Radcliffe remains one of the most recognizable characters of the show, and Ken Lawson is a big reason why. Mari Morrow. Mari Morrow always played the kind of woman who could walk into a room and turn every head because she knew exactly who she was. Born July 21, 1968 in Miami, Florida. Mari Yolanda Morrow grew up in a culturally rich Barbadian and African-American household where discipline and ambition were not optional. She graduated from North Miami Senior High School in 1986, then trained in dance and theater at New York University's Tisch School of the Arts, a foundation that shaped her poised, camera-ready presence. She broke into television in the early 1990s, first appearing on Baywatch 1992, and soon became a familiar face on major shows. Many viewers remember her as Onisha Savoy on Family Matters during the 1990s, where she brought both glamour and humor to Steve Urkel's orbit. She also starred as Rachel Gannon on the daytime soap One Life to Live, 1994 to 1996, proving she could hold dramatic storylines as confidently as comedy. By the time The Parkers premiered in 1999, she stepped in as Desiree Des Littlejohn, Kim Parker's stylish rival, whose elegance and sharp tongue made every scene a little more electric. She wasn't on the show to blend in. Desiree was the high heels, high standards mirror that kept Kim on her toes. After The Parkers ended, Mari continued acting in films and guest roles, including titles like How to Be a Player Uninvited Guest, Tracy Townsend, and later studio features such as National Security and Big Mamas Like Father, Like Son. But what makes her now story in 2025 so interesting is her reinvention. Instead of waiting on unpredictable casting calls, she became a licensed real estate agent in Los Angeles, building a second career in luxury property that offered stability Hollywood often can't. Her personal life has stayed fairly private. Public records note one marriage to businessman Carl Johnson from 1994 to 1997, and she is a mother of 2 sons. Her eldest, Robert, was born August 3, 2000. A younger son arrived in 2016. In 2025, Mari is 57, still occasionally acting but primarily focused on real estate and family life. Net worth figures online swing wildly from a few $100,000 to several million, and since she hasn't confirmed a number, the honest truth is this: her wealth is real, but the exact total is not publicly verified. What is clear is her legacy. Mari Morrow didn't just play a rival on TV. She showed what it looks like to evolve, pivot, and keep winning long after the credits roll. Isabel Sanford. Isabel Sanford stepped into The Parkers like living history. When she appeared as Evelyn Nana Smith in 2001, she wasn't just a guest star, she was a pioneer reminding viewers where black television comedy came from. Isabel, whose birth name was Eloise Gwendolyn Sanford, entered the world on August 29, 1917, in Harlem, New York. She grew up in a strict household and was the only one of 7 siblings to survive childhood, a beginning that hardened her spirit early. As a young woman, she chased acting anyway, even when it wasn't welcomed performing on stage, long before cameras paid attention. Her life carried real trials. She married William Sonny Richmond, and the relationship became abusive. In 1960, she left New York with her 3 children and started over in Los Angeles, working jobs, raising a family, and fighting for roles at an age when many people were told to sit down. That fight paid off. She broke through with film work and then found the role that changed everything: Louise Weezy Jefferson. First on All in the Family, and then on The Jeffersons. 1975 to 1985, she created a character that was tender but unbreakable, an elegant center to one of TV's most important families. When you watched Weezy stand her ground, didn't she feel like a woman you knew? Maybe someone in your own family. In 1981, Sanford won the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series, becoming the first black woman to take that specific award. It wasn't a symbolic win, it was a door kicked open, proving black women could lead, anchor, and elevate mainstream comedy without shrinking themselves. She later received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and multiple NAACP Image Award honors, building a resume that spanned stage, film, and television for nearly 6 decades. By the time she showed up in The Parkers, she was in her 80s. Yet her timing was still razor-sharp, flirting, teasing, and tossing looks that made the episode unforgettable. Isabel Sanford passed away on July 9, 2004 in Los Angeles at 86 years old after declining health following surgery. In 2025, her impact remains clear. She didn't just play grandmothers on TV, she helped make it possible for shows like The Parkers to exist at all. Cara Brock. Cara Brock, credited at times as Cara Denian Brock or Cara Bustos, was the kind of supporting player who could steal a scene with one look. Born March 29, 1974 in Long Beach, California, She was raised mostly in Kansas City, Missouri, carrying a Midwestern grounding into a Hollywood world that can be anything but. She studied theater at the University of Kansas, then moved to Los Angeles to pursue acting full-time, later finishing a bachelor's degree in theater arts at California State University, Los Angeles. She also comes from a creative household. Kara is the younger sister of celebrated TV writer-producer Mara Brock Akil Girlfriends The Game, which meant storytelling was practically in the air she breathed. On the Parkers, 1999 to 2004. Kara played Regina Foster, the polished, competitive sorority sister who squared off with Kim Parker. Regina was snappy, status-minded, and always dressed like she had somewhere better to be. Exactly the kind of frenemy energy that made college life on the show feel real. Kara appeared in about 14 episodes, enough to become a recurring face fans still remember when they rewatch the series today. Her resume stretches well beyond Santa Monica College's fictional halls. She first appeared on Moesha as Sarah, then showed up across a run of late 90s and early 2000s TV favorites, including Sister Sister, The Jamie Foxx Show, Grown Ups Party of Five, and later Girlfriends. On film, many viewers recognize her as one of the college girls in Love and Basketball 2000. She didn't chase constant spotlight. Instead, she built a steady career in the exact lane where many character actresses thrive: recurring roles, guest arcs, and commercial work. In her personal life, Kara married Joseph Bustos on June 12, 2004. They have 3 daughters, and she has spoken casually in interviews about embracing family life as her main center of gravity. She also explored entrepreneurship, including a cake decorating business that reflected her creative side off camera. As of 2025, Kara Brock is 51. She keeps a low public profile, but her work as Regina Foster remains a bright thread in the Parkers' tapestry, proof that a well-played recurring character can leave a lasting footprint long after the finale. Jamal Mixon. Jamal Mixon's time on the Parkers was brief, but his presence was a pure shot of youthful sweetness that longtime fans still remember. Born June 17, 1983 in Oxnard, California, Jamal grew up in a show business family alongside his older brother, Jared Mixon, and he entered Hollywood as a kid during the mid-1990s. Most people first recognized him as Ernie Clump Jr. in The Nutty Professor, 1996, and Nutty Professor Thick, the Clump's 2000 big studio comedies where he held his own opposite Eddie Murphy. That early success made him one of those child actors audiences assumed would stay on every screen forever. By the time he joined the Parkers, Jamal was still a teenager playing Alan, sometimes spelled Alan the wide-eyed, good-natured friend who added a softer, innocent beat to the college crowd. He wasn't written as the loudest character. Instead, his charm came from sincerity and timing, like the kid who didn't realize he was funny, which somehow made him even funnier. Didn't Alan always make you smile before he even spoke? After the Parkers, Jamal kept working, though not always in the spotlight. His credits include films such as Def Jam's How to Be a Player, 1997, Bulworth, 1998, House Party 4, 2001, The Cookout, 2004, Gridiron Gang, 2006, and Paul Blart Mall, Cop, 2009, plus guest roles on shows like Malcolm and Eddie Moshe, George Lopez, and voice work on The Proud Family. Like many former child stars, he faced the hard shift into adulthood, where parts become scarcer and expectations heavier, but he stayed creatively active instead of vanishing. Music became part of his balance. Jamal has collaborated with his brother as a rap duo, often referred to as Hercules and Big Time, keeping a connection to performance on his own terms. Publicly, he remains low-key, no constant headline chasing, no noisy reinvention tour, just selective projects and a quieter personal life. In 2025, Jamal Mixon is 42. Net worth numbers online vary a lot. Some sites say around $400,000, others push past $1 million, and none are officially confirmed. So the honest read is simply that he's financially stable from a long run of acting work. What matters more is that he represents a familiar 90s story. A kid who made us laugh early, grew up off camera, and still holds a fond place in the Parkers' memory lane. Suzanne Douglas. Suzanne Douglas entered the Parkers as pure class and actress whose craft had been seasoned long before she ever stepped onto that campus set. Born April 12, 1957, in Chicago, Illinois, she grew up in the Altgeld Gardens public housing community, raised by a single mother who taught her that talent meant nothing without discipline. Suzanne first fell in love with performance through music, then trained it into mastery. She earned a BA from Illinois State University and later completed a master's in jazz vocals at the Manhattan School of Music. That musical education never left her. It shaped the way she spoke lines, carried silence, and moved through a scene like a melody. By the late 1980s, she was already building a reputation across film and television. Her breakout movie role came in Tap 1989 opposite Gregory Hines and Sammy Davis Jr., and her later film work included Jason's Lyric 1994, The Inkwell 1994, and How Stella Got Her Groove Back 1998. Yet many viewers knew her best as Jerry Peterson on the WB sitcom The Parenthood 1995 to 1999, where she blended humor and tenderness in a way that felt lived in, not performed. She was a working artist in the truest sense, capable of comedy drama and the quiet moments in between. On The Parkers, Suzanne appeared as Constance McFarland, a poised, intelligent figure who brought maturity and elegance into a world full of loud personalities. Even in limited screen time, she changed the tone of every scene she entered. Her presence reminded audiences that comedy doesn't have to be frantic to be powerful. Sometimes the strongest laugh comes from contrast. Off camera, she lived with intention. She married neuroradiologist Roy Jonathan Cobb in February 1989, and they had one daughter. Friends and colleagues regularly described her as generous, mentorship-minded, and devoted to arts education and community support. She continued performing well into the 2010s, including acclaimed work in Ava DuVernay's When They See Us 2019, showing that her talent never dimmed. Suzanne Douglas passed away on July 6, 2021 at 64 in Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts, after a private 2-year battle with pancreatic cancer. In 2025, her legacy remains one of rare, balance-trained musician, fearless actress, and a woman whose quiet strength still echoes far beyond a single role. Welcome back to Legends of Black Excellence. Looking at the Parkers cast in 2025 feels like flipping a family photo album. Monique still blazing stages at 57, Countess Vaughn wiser and quieter at 47. Dorien Wilson steady on TV at 62. While we honor the losses of Yvette Wilson, Lamont Bentley, Tommy Ford, Isabel Sanford, and Suzanne Douglas. Some reinvented themselves beyond Hollywood, others were taken too soon, but the laughter remains. Their stories remind us fame is fragile, but community memory is stubborn, and that still matters. Here's the debate. Did the Parkers age better than peers or nostalgia?